That's probably a maybe, Jerry. I'm not sure yet. Input shaper, I think, is Clipper or something like that. But I have to actually look it up before I know. Hey, John. I'm just showing off the printer. Doing a print in Octoprint at the moment. Apparently the Raspberry Pi 2 for 0, or the Raspberry Pi 02W, apparently can do streaming. Yeah, I'm probably going to spend more time doing more Clipper stuff over the break, and that's probably about 2 weeks away. But for the moment, I have to concentrate on work for at least 2 more weeks, and then I have 2 weeks off. But as you can see, it's printing quite well. But I'm probably going to let the stream run mostly while I do some research on other stuff. Apparently, Raspberry Pi's kind of grabbed my attention for the last couple weeks. I'm trying to actually build some other things that might interest people. But I can't say what they are yet until I actually get them working. And so far they're not working. But it looks like we're getting kind of busy in here just watching a video, or a stream of the printer. So if you guys want to ask questions, I might be able to answer them, but at the moment, my desk is a mess with new projects. So I'm kind of trying to hide them from you guys for the moment. But there's 2 or 3 things that I have planned that I have to work out the bits for. Yeah, I can run a webcam. I can't remember which one it is off the top of my head, but I can go look. It's basically a webcam. But you need a powered USB hub to do it. I was originally doing it on a non-powered one, and it was failing. So hopefully I'll be done testing this in another couple days and can do a tutorial on it. I'm pretty sure someone's already found my idea and tried to do it, so we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, the webcam is, let me go look. The Logitech, I believe it's the 720. It could be the 1080, but I think it's the 720. But that's running pretty smooth. Surprisingly good video for the price, I guess. But do you guys have any questions or comments that you want to address? We can look stuff up in the background. No, this one's running off USB. So the Logitech 720, I think. Let me look it up real quick. I think it's the Logitech 720p. Yeah, that looks like it. So essentially, that's the webcam recording. I might build a Verone soon. But obviously there's so many different types of printers out there that some people want me to build Core XY, so other people want me to build what is it, the scalar, or the I'm trying to think of the 3 pontoon one. I want to say it's let's see what we got here. I gotta look up the printer type because I don't know. It's 3D printer type. Types. So the one I'm looking for is like an FL Sun, something similar to that. But I'm forgetting what the name of the printer type is. It's a Delta type printer. Yeah, Core XY is essentially the same as a Veron. But essentially, most of the time I stick to something simple with 3 axes. The other one has a lot of gears, which makes it more of a challenge. But the pricing of it to build it from scratch, I think, is a little high. So let's see if there's some Veron kits here. So apparently Veron 2.4, I don't know if it's it says printer kit is $879. That's a little bit beyond my budget for printing or building stuff in tutorials. I like to stick to things where I can eventually recoup the expense of buying the product. And for 800 and some odd dollars, it's going to be kind of hard to recoup after 50 years. Hi Don, how's it going? Let's see, Veron and Veron 2.4. Let me see if it's on Thingiverse. Let me pull this up in a second. Just want to log in before people see how I'm logging in. Let's see. Apparently I'm having trouble logging into my old account, so let's see if I can work from the regular place. So let's see. The Veron. Apparently, maybe I don't know what a Veron is, or they're just putting up stuff that's excessively different. But everything looks like it's for Creality. That's kind of cool. But the Raspberry Pi now will fit in the back, underneath, or on a sidebar and be out of the way as well. Let's try a 3D printer. So essentially they're showing a Core XY. So essentially this amount of parts is about $150. And it looks like there's going to be a lot of, what is it, GT2 belts right there to actually adjust, but the actual design doesn't look that hard to do. Looks like you've got 2 Z drivers. There might be just one, but let's see if there's any other angles of this. I might even just design my own. Just cycling through some of these parts, but it looks like there's not a lot of parts to this. It can possibly have 4 Zs. I generally like to stick to 1 just for simplicity, but you can do 4 or possibly 5, I think. If we look at the firmware, let me bring it up here. If you go over to Configuration Advanced and you go to the top and search on, my quick way is to search on 800. You could also find it on configuration.h. But let me cycle through this real quick. So you got Z0, 1, 2, 3. So you can do at least 4 of them. But what you can do is you can also break them out into parallel steppers as well. So Veron Designs, let me look that up real quick. Veron Design, there's a 2.4. Let's see, there's CAD, STL, Manual, Gallery. So the CAD files, obviously I got to look at them in a different, let me bring it over so you can see what I'm talking about. So I was basically on here and I'm looking around. So I guess that customizes the setups. These are the CAD files. Could download one and see what's going on. Apparently I can't see inside it at the moment though. Let me close that out for a second. There's a manual probably on how to build it. Let's see if we can see what this looks like. So it tells you how to assemble it, I guess. Frame assembly. So I think you can find the frame on a particular website. I just have to remember what its name is. Give me a second to figure that out. I think it's Masumi. Sorry, I'm bouncing between browsers here, so. There we go, Masumi Manufacturing Company. And let me see if I can do a search on the website real quick. Apparently I'm not seeing it there. It might be on eBay, because I've already researched this before. Yeah, let me check eBay real quick. So they still have insanely priced kits. Here we go. So there is a kit you can buy right here for the Veron. So I'm believing this is only $57, and then the other parts I might have on hand, and they give directions on how to actually work with them, or they tell you what they are. But essentially, I guess this is kind of easy to work with. So maybe I'll do it. If I can do it for less than $100, that's just one of those things where I got to keep the price down. Okay, I'll check AliExpress real quick. But it looks like the best deal so far is on eBay. Yeah, on AliExpress it looks like it's made by Masumi, but it's $114. The Varon is $120, or Varon is $122. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. So that's a little pricey compared to this. So it's kind of hard to figure out which route I'd want to go. I probably would go the cheap route only because I'd rather spend less money so that I can at least recoup the amount of money that I spent on the video. So I'll probably go that route if I try it. Yeah, it is a Varon 0.1, but between the two, I mean, what's the actual difference? Looks like a support bar here. So let's see what it's got to it. Looks like they're all 2020 extrusions with V slots. And then it might have some hardware to hook it up and do the framing. And then the other one, they're obviously not showing the entire design together. So let's see if we can get a better image. I'm guessing they have similar parts. Of course, they're 1515s versus 2020s. So it is a little thinner. So that's a difference right there between the two. These are 20 by 20 millimeter, I believe. And it comes with some assembly parts with it. So maybe I'll give this a thought. But you can see the dimensions that they're talking about inside it. And it looks like it's 350 millimeters for the build, so it is a bigger printer. You can also probably get it in a different color. Let me see if we can see that. Apparently not. But the price might be less. But obviously I'm going to have to think about that. Yeah, at the moment I have to sort out what I want to do for the next build, because obviously, if you haven't noticed in the background over here, I got a slight printer problem. I got another one right next to it. And then I've got in the other room probably 4 or 5 printers. And then in this room that you're looking in, there's 4. But only one is operating right now, and I'm obviously keeping an eye on it. But price-wise, I'm still hunting for other parts. So if I were to look over here, let me look up this part real quick. Obviously, I have enough steppers. I would just need probably some gears, but I don't know what the parts are for the Varon, so I have to look it up. So it's Bill of Materials, or BOM Varon 2.4. That was the website we were already on, so let's see if I can find it. So let's see, manual. I think I already downloaded that. Let me see if I can open it right here. So those are the parts that I would have to look for. So a GT2, I've got those. I probably have the pulleys. That is a gear for your extruder, I believe. And then of course there's the button screws. These are M5s. And then they have socket head versions of them. I guess it's not a big deal. Then these are the bearings. 625s I have. I don't have F695 bearings. And I don't have a grub screw. So I'd probably need to get those. I might have pads or I can print them out. And then these, I'm pretty sure we can acquire. Looks like you're going to be bolting through to build it. So it should be a somewhat easy frame to make that way. These I think I have actually on hand still. And then that looks like it drives an axis. But it could be an no, that drives an axis of some type. So it's the Z drive assembly. And Z belts, it's telling you how to put it together. So it's pretty simple. It's just most of the parts I need to order, or a couple of them. But it looks like I need a GT2 80T. The bearing I probably have. M5 shim. Not sure what that is. It might be like a oh, it might be a spacer. I've never seen an M5 shim, so I gotta look that up. M5 shim. Of course, I've got to say 5 instead of percent. Yeah, that looks like a washer. But they also make washers with bearings in them. But if you're right next to a bearing already, there's no point in buying ones with bearings in it. So I guess it's also telling you how to assemble it. You're probably going to have to print out these parts. Unless you can buy them pre-made. So maybe I'll start printing some of these. I might have stuff that's already similar to this. That looks like for rails. So I'm probably going to have to acquire something for the table. Or whichever this is. I'm not sure what that is yet. But it looks like you're going to be bolting in rails. Let's see what we got here. I guess that's holding a motor for an axis, or it is the base. So I guess that's going to be used to adjust the level maybe down in here. But you can see there's a motor inside there, so it's driving something. It's just keeping it out of the way. Z idler. So this is going to be belt driven from some other direction possibly. So I guess there's belts running in here. I can't tell. But we can see that there's one mounted. And I guess there's a leveling base in here. That's obviously the heat bed. And then more gears to drive it. This is the Z end stop pin. I don't see a Z end stop. I do see gears. But someone's already figured out how to do the 5160 in Discord for those that are worried about that. Let's see. I know there's a couple questions bouncing around I just missed. See, I don't want to spend too much money. I understand that. I got a 400mm rail for $22 on eBay. That's not a bad deal. Let's see. Have you had issues with it? Can you get the link? So I think you're talking to somebody other than me. So I think Marcelo is going to help you with that. Also, for those that don't know, there is a Discord where we have conversations generally in the general chat. I'll bring it over so you can see it. So in here, there's a bunch of regular conversations occurring inside general chat. So people come in and ask questions. Most of the time somebody can answer it before I have to take a look at it. But there's different places for Clipper, and once in a while I'll have an opportunity to talk to you. In the next couple of weeks though, I'm probably going to be working on tutorials over the winter break, so I might be quiet for a couple of days right around the 20th. Let's see. Let me bring this back over. Whoop, that's my interface. Sorry, I've got a lot of windows open if you haven't noticed. Let me bring back up the actual printing. So it's still working. It looks like the case is about halfway done. Yep. Now I'm actually printing slower than normal on purpose. For those that haven't used Cura before, this is what I use to slice most of the time now. On occasion I'll use Slicer if I want to set like an offset. But this is the container that I'm making for the Raspberry Pi 2W. I'll be finished hopefully with this in a couple of days. It's just time I have to work on it, but I'm working on finishing up the holes and closing stuff down so that it'll screw in nicely and drops right in. So as soon as I get all that worked out, then I'll make a video on it and post this also on Thingiverse as soon as I can get my login to work again. Let's see what's going on in the regular chat because I'm getting them all confused. Let's see. Yeah, you were in the dialogue for just a second. So linear rails, I usually don't do a lot with them. Maybe I'll do some videos on them, but essentially it's a frictionless rail, similar to the design that I use on my my Surface. Let me just move some stuff out of the way and I'll bring up the camera so you can see what I'm talking about. Just want to move these projects out of the way so you don't see what they are. And fire up the lights. Bring the camera online and check it before you guys see it. Okay. This is my version of a cheap version of the linear rail that I developed. Currently my camera is getting a little weird though. So let me see if I can get that to work right. Is it plugged in? Lens cap is off. Okay, apparently my camera doesn't want to run. Hang on a second here, let me see if I can get it to work. That's awesome. Let me start a new scene here. Is it active? Had to move a lot of stuff around this week, so hopefully I'll be able to actually show you something. There might be a conflict between devices, so let me delete this. If you haven't noticed, I'm having some slight camera issues, so let me see if I can fix them here. It seems to think I have a webcam, so I gotta take that out. Okay, let me try changing ports. Make sure everything's plugged in. Yeah, apparently it doesn't want to work. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so let me bring this over so you can see it. I've got to make a quick adjustment on the camera though because it's timing out. Two seconds here. Let's see. There it is. And let me plug it back in. There we go. So you can obviously run Rails on multiple things. I chose to design this a long time ago for something, and it works very well, surprisingly, even though it wobbles a little. But there's a different design, which is the Rails, which I'll bring up in a second. I'll let you watch the printer for a second while I grab them. Okay, I finally found one. Let me just take it out of the packaging. So here's another type of rail. I'll bring it up so you can see it. So this over here obviously is another way to do it. There's zero wobble, which means that you won't see any effects in your print from the wobble. It's essentially a gear that's mounted with bearings underneath. So it's a really cool design. You can bolt right through this with countersinked or lower profile bolts into your actual frame. So the advantage is for something like a Delta type printer, being able to run it in an upward or perpendicular to this table view or profile. So let me go back to the chat in 2 seconds. Yeah, that one you can get off eBay probably. I think mine is, I want to say 30 millimeters, or excuse me, 30 centimeters. Obviously I can't find my ruler right away, so let me see if I can find it. Now I had 2 rulers in this room. Interesting. So my guesstimate is this is 30 centimeters. Without the ruler, I can't tell you for sure. It might be 270 centimeters. Here we go. I'll bring up the camera so you can see what I'm doing. So if we take this ruler, we can check it. Yeah, that looks about 270 millimeters or 27 centimeters. Sorry, I have to actually think harder when I'm thinking in metric versus inches, which I know you guys think is super weird. But unfortunately, I was raised in a non-metric system. So let's see what we got. Robo dig rails. I've never actually seen those, but I can look them up. I'm guessing they're going to be similar concept. Yeah, they look like robo digs. But the extremely long ones is what we want to find. So this one looks like it's only 350 millimeters or 35 centimeters, the one that I just found. So that might not be a viable option. So let's see if there's a better rail out there. Ah, the Robo Dig is the actual part that clips onto the rail. So linear rails, we might be able to find something down in here. So there's a place on eBay that I'm looking right now for super long ones. Looks like if you want to spend a little bit of money, they have some bidding going on. So you might be able to get these an actual cheap price. You can see they're over 1 meter long. See if you can go even further. Yeah, you could probably do 1.2 meters. Let's see what we got here. Obviously, I keep changing screens, so I have to see what's going on. Yeah, it doesn't sound like a bad deal, half meter for $16. I might even think about getting some more of those. I'm more interested in building a delta out of them, but right now I still haven't shown delta on my YouTube channel. Even though I've been working with it for a great long time, I haven't actually shown how to set one up yet. But obviously I have a little bit of a issue with space at the moment until I actually get a house. So, but for those that are doing super chats and I'm not seeing them, thank you very much. For those that are doing PayPal, thank you as well. I'll be back in a minute and let you guys watch the printer and chat, and we can discuss more if you want. Sorry about that. Checking on the snow. Apparently, we've just got our first snowstorm, or our third, actually. But it's nothing big yet. That, and I'm waiting on Amazon to deliver some parts for something you guys haven't seen me do, which I'll show you right now. You guys might be able to figure out what this is just by what you see. This is a drone I'm working on. Obviously it's small scale compared to the other one I'm working on. The other one's a little bit larger. I'll see if I can grab that for you so you can see. But I'll put you back on the other screen for a second. This one I'm about to show you is a little large, so I don't know how well you'll see it. Well, you can see part of it at least. So I'm working on a much larger drone. This one's, I think, over a meter, or the size is 0.5 meters, but with the blades on, it's about a meter. But right now I'm waiting on parts to get this finished, so it's going to take a while to actually get that one done. Let me check on the chat. Yeah, I don't know if you guys want to build drones, but it's one of the projects that I have lined up for break. But here's the frame of it. It's something you can find on Thingiverse. It's not one of my designs. It's designed by somebody else that has been working with drones for a while. This was printed on a very old printer, so the quality is not super. And the lighting is even worse. But essentially it's running very tiny motors on it that will then take props to run it. But you can see that the case is almost done. Obviously lighting in the other room's a little bit bright, so you can't pick out everything until it runs into the shadows. But this should be done in another 40 minutes apparently. Now the speed that I'm running this at, I'll show you in Cura, because somebody had a question about this the other day. So inside of Cura, you can set the actual precision for the layers. As you can see here, I'm running at 0.2, but you can make it super fine, which if I can zoom in, you might be able to see, maybe not. But you can make this a finer detail. But normally I print at 0.2 or 0.28 just so I can do a quick print. And then of course infill, you can go from obviously 0, which no one does, all the way up to 100. In some cases I do that so that I can make it more stiff. And then there are other settings that you can go into inside here for speed. And someone was asking me what the max speed is, and on a Creality, you can go up to 150 depending upon your configuration. Right now I'm printing obviously at 50, so it's kind of slow. But this will go up to 150 and print significantly faster. Maybe I can show you a demo of that later. But let me change it back to 50. There are also different things you can do for cooling. There's support material that you can generate. Like if I do this and then I slice, hopefully you'll see it. So let me change that to preview. So as you can see in here, that's got support material now. I turn it off. I slice again. It's now gone. I turn it on. So if you want to print something with overhangs, this is a good way to do it. And then you can also control which types of supports you use. One of the tricks you can do over here is you can search on support, and it'll give you different types of patterns that you can use. Here's more stuff on speed, apparently. But you can see all the different things that are there just with an easy search. Obviously, I don't think it does Z offset unless they added it. Let's try offset. Let's see, there's an X offset, a Y infill offset, but I don't see a Z. That would be inside something like slicer, which is spelled S-L-I-R-E-R. Obviously I can't spell slice right now, but we'll skip that for now. You can also do different things with the bottom and top. You can do things with walls, print quality we already looked at. There's infill patterns that you can change. There's materials. So right now I do 260. This is for PLA, so that's in obviously Celsius. Build plate adhesion. Right now I'm doing a brim so that it sticks to the actual print bed, and I'll show you what that looks like. Over here you see that yellow on the outside. That's actually a brim to hold it to the plate when I'm printing. Sometimes it likes to slide off, so I put that there in case. Let me check on questions because I know I go off on a tangent. ABS I rarely print with just because of the smell and the toxicity of it. If I had a way to actually filter the air easily in my apartment, I would do it, but that's more like when I buy a house and have a garage. I'm probably going to start doing drones soon, but I have a lot of different hardwares that I'm going through for obviously simplicity, price, and stuff like that. I usually start out cheap just so I can get an idea of what I'm working with, and then I expand as soon as I have more knowledge. But that's one of the things I'm educating myself on right now, so it's going to take a bit of time. And the unfortunate thing is I have to have time to actually work on stuff. So with a day job, obviously I don't have all the time in the world. But as you can see, this is going to finish up. Maybe I'll print a benchy or something small at a higher speed so you guys can see what occurs. I haven't done a calibration cube in a while, so I might do that. But I'll show you some Cura stuff in looks like 24 minutes. But the cool thing about this, when you're using this terminal, you'll see a lot of this information that you don't really care for. You can actually turn these to suppress some of the information, because it will filter out what you see. So let's try suppressing everything. So if you suppress everything, you still get stuff. You could probably add stuff, but I've never done that. But obviously, if you want to do an M119, you might not get a response while you're doing this because it's moving too quickly. This is actually moving through and telling the printer where to move. So it's a good way to troubleshoot your printer. It's similar to Pronterface. Obviously, you're not going to get a response while you're printing. Wow, this is actually filling up quicker than I wanted to, so let's just click on auto scroll and turn these off for the moment, and then you'll get more messages. Obviously you can't tell because they're coming in so quick, but let's move up here and go back to the viewer. Well, this is actually saying what's going on with the print, so you can see the lines actually printing if you're interested in that kind of thing. But the cool thing is you can just watch it this way. Then of course there's time lapse. I think I'm actually saving by accident here. So it looks like this one currently is writing. Obviously you can delete stuff. So like the camera holder, I can just delete it. This actually is the settings for actually time-lapse configurations that I'm using. So it's going to be somewhat abbreviated from what we're doing. Now one of these two might be, let's see what we got here. I'm trying to pick out the date, but it looks like I might have the actual time on this configuration off. And there's no way to see what actual time you're working with. So the clock on here might be wrong. We can actually probably look inside of TerraTerm. Let's try that. If I go to TerraTerm, I know what the IP address is because it's 1.6. So let me bring this over so you can see. So if we go to a new connection and we change this to a 6, we can then continue. The password is pi, and then the connection is raspberry for the passphrase or password. Let's try time or clock. So it might not have an idea of time because there might not be a clock on it, but let me see if there's a command for it. It's Raspbian clock command, maybe. Let's see, date. Let's try that. So it does know the date. So I don't know what's going on inside of time lapse, but it's kind of weird. So Sunday 28th of November. So let's see what we got here. So we've got Sunday. Trying to pick out which one. I'm guessing it's one of these two, and it might be that it's doing time kind of funky for their date stamp. So I guess we're just gonna have to figure it out when it finishes. But obviously I'm not seeing an easy pattern decipher because I'm seeing 11:11, which seems kind of off. So I'll go back to the chat. Maybe you guys already see what the issue is. But let's go back over to the control so we can watch it finish up here. Apparently it's not 14 minutes anymore, it's 16. And that's because it's estimating time based on the number of commands that it has left. And those commands apparently are a little bit longer than it thought. But I'm going to change the lighting on it real quick. So it's still a little bright because it's right next to a light. So I'm going to try and turn that one off. So either light that I'm using apparently is a little bit bright, and running it in low light you might not be able to see anything, so maybe I'll just hold off on showing you more light and let the top of the extruder do the shadows for now. But how much interest is there in me doing drone videos next? Because I'm going to start making gadgets. Obviously I'm going to start designing my own drones. But I don't want to share the designs until I'm actually done with them. So I'll probably start with a template of another person's drones from Thingiverse. And then see how easy it is to build. Obviously I almost have all the parts for it, but I don't want to show it yet until I actually can fly a drone. And so far flying it indoors is not a smart idea, but also flying it outside might not be a great idea either. But any ideas you guys want to suggest for tutorials that are 3D printer centric, meaning something you make and then build, I can easily do some stuff on that. Yeah, I might actually start building planes off the 3D printer soon. RC F1 drones. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, most of the stuff I've been focused on for that stuff is the actual kits involved with the electronics. So cars I might be able to do. I may even have a lot of parts for that still. But my dad used to race cars for RC all the time, so I probably have some parts. I also have plane parts, but obviously building an airplane with the current configuration I have for you guys to view it would be rather large unless I do a micro. And then those are harder to do for RC because of the weight limitations. So I'm gonna probably have to order more parts for drones. Right now I have just 2 different types of communication, but I also have to figure out the transmitter receive issues with having multiple transmitters and receivers. Obviously some of the stuff I have is vintage, so I can't use it anymore. That, and I'm probably gonna have to get a special frequency so I can avoid interfering with other people, so I'll probably have to use my ham license to get a special frequency. For those that don't know what a ham frequency is, it's radios. So let me close down some of these windows and see if we can find some more stuff that we can do. Probably gonna do a benchy in a minute or a cube just to check the cal of the printer. But it looks like we're 9 minutes away from that at the moment. But if we were to print the same design with a faster speed, I'll show you what happens in Cura with that. So Cura will give you time estimates down in the bottom right hand corner. If I were to change the speed of the printer, so let's change this to 100 millimeters a second and then slice it. Still says an hour 24, so let's do 150. Now it says an hour and 17, so you're not saving a lot of time based on the actual design, but 152 minutes, or excuse me, 1 hour and 52 minutes. But if you do 150 and slice it, then it's 117 minutes or 77 minutes. So you can see there's a time savings there. Granted, the quality drops the faster you go. The other thing you can do to increase speed is you can change your step. So if you were to slice now, you would see that it's an hour 33. If we were to change the speed again to 100 and then slice, now it's 110 minutes. Now if we do 150 millimeters a second and slice, you can see that it's 104 minutes. So obviously there's a lot of little things you can do to change the speed of your printer and the time it takes to print. But if you want to make it longer and look pretty, then this is obviously going to change the characteristics of how long it takes. So this will be almost smooth when it prints. But if you want to try and turn up the speed on it, you might be able to shave off time. So you'll knock a whole hour off that way. Or at least I think you will. But at least you get a reference for what's going on with the printer when you change all these settings. Normally I stick to this just because that's the one I'm most comfortable with. But obviously there's lots of little things you can do with your design. For those that don't know how to use this, I'm going to show you some quick little things you can do. If you go to prepare, you can actually click on, let me minimize this. Click on this. If you want to move this around, you can obviously do it this way. I think if we do 100, we might see what's going on. Or not. So let's go back to 0 and hopefully it'll still be there. There we go. So the way to move this, they've changed some of this around on me. So that changes the actual size. You can change the scaling. Let's see, rotate. You can click on these little markers to move it. Then there's making sure it's flat on the surface. I don't know what this does. So I guess that changes perspective. This is a recent Cura update. That's why I'm not 100% sure what's going on. So this shows you different views so you can see through it. There was one to move stuff around. So I guess it's in the older version, but there was a way to move these things around by grabbing the arrows like I'm doing right now. So yes, there is a way to move it. Obviously you can change not this off the surface. They do that by design. You can also multiply if you want to make a bunch of something. You can say, okay, I want one more. Or you can say, I want several more. So you can say like 5. And it will try and best fit them on the surface for you. I use this a lot at work. But you can also hit Control Z to remove those, just like you would in an editor. Yeah, I actually have the Pixie Hawk controller. I have the Pixie Hawk, I think 2.4. But there's also the Pixie Hawk Cube, which is cost prohibitive. Excuse me. But let's check on the printer, see if we're done yet. It looks like we are, so let me go grab that and then I'll show you how to do a calibration cube. So I'll show you this real quick so that you can get an idea of why I printed that little locking surface. Let me just bring up the camera real quick. So I printed this on a surface. I just started tearing this off, but you can just tear it right off and clean it up with a razor blade. But essentially the premise that I'm doing here is I'm trying to get this to fit in here nice and snug. So obviously I want to line up all my holes and make sure everything fits. So I'm almost there. I have one more mod that I have to do, and that's just to make things slightly wider. And I also need to check the actual fits for sliding things in. So if I take a thumb drive and I try and fit it in here, it will go in, but now I have to figure out how to fix so that you can pull this back out. So I'm probably going to put a little indentation in there. So back to actually printing. Let's go back over to the desktop. And I'm going to bring up Cura. And I'll show you the speed differences. So let me delete this. And I have a calibration cube someplace, so I got to search for it. Let's see, I have a folder called Cube. Apparently that's not it, so let me check downloads or documents. New folder. Well, it's not there. I'm just going through checking folders real quick before I actually have to download it. But maybe I'll just show you the download real quick. So if I go over to Thingiverse and I bring that up and I tuck on, let's see, Cube 20. I'm trying to find the 20mm cube. So we'll do millimeter. So there's a bunch of different cubes that you can do. If you just want to pick one, you can actually download it over here. Don't forget to tip the actual person that developed it. That'll download your computer. And then essentially, here's the actual folder. It's probably going to be zipped, so you're going to have to right click, extract all. and then extract. Then inside of here you actually have your cube. So if I bring up Cura and I bring up that, I can just do this and then minimize this. We now have the cube. So to print this, we're going to print it at a bigger step. We're going to keep the actual fill the same. Then we're going to go to custom, and I'm not going to run this printer all out flat, so I'll go as high as 125 millimeters a second, because I think that's relatively safe, because this printer is very stout. But let me show you what the time differences are. These are obviously estimates. If I slice it 50, it says 23 minutes. If I slice it 125, it's going to be 21 minutes. So I don't know how much of a savings that is. Let me do this again real quick. So you're saving 2 minutes in this case. If you go to 150, I think you're going to save some significant time. Not much. So let's try 125 for now. Let's see if we can, how high we can actually go. Apparently gives us orange. Whoops, I turned something off by accident, I think here. Nope. Let's give this a try. 21 minutes, so apparently you're not saving any time. So we'll stick to 125 and slice that. Now to prepare it, you're going to save it. You're going to save it to a file. You're going to open the folder. Save. Yes to overwrite. Open the folder. Oh, it opened on my other screen. So what we do to find it quickly is just do that. Now I got to bring you over to actually the configuration. So if I go over here and I click, I can actually just drag this in here. And then inside this list, you'll see different things you can print. Obviously, I've got some stuff that I'm working on that's different, but you click here, then you're gonna have to watch here. I currently have this set up, I think, to center after it heats up. So if we go over and we look at temperature, you can see that the bed temperature probably has gone on, or at least I hope it has, but we're gonna have to wait for the time to move here. So it does say 16 minutes left, calibration cube. So as you can see right here, time for these should change unless there's a printer failure. And right now you can see the temperature is going up for the heat bed. It's the blue line. It's at 60 degrees. And in a second we'll see this go up as soon as it reaches 60 degrees. And it'll start heating the actual hot end. But this is the temperature off the actual thermistors. So any second now you'll see a change for the actual temperature on the actual hot end. So as you can see, it's 59 point, well, it's over 60 degrees Celsius, so the other one's going to go on. So the target temperature is set up here. So you can see that we're actually moving in the right direction to print this. So I'll move back over to the camera in a second so you can see what's going on. I just have to find my bearings on my computer real quick here. So it is currently at 72 degrees. Apparently when I mouse over it, it changes. That's not helpful, but it's reading the actual bar graph over here. So it's reading this temperature right here. being this line that's dark red. So any second that should start to print. We're at 138, 141. So I'll move over to here so you can see the contrast in a second. The printer will move significantly faster than it did before. Obviously with the different board in this one has the Creality motherboard in it, but with the other printer, if you haven't seen the videos, it prints significantly faster. So we'll give that a second to actually fire up. See how close we are. It's usually 8 seconds after this reaches temp. So right now we're at, well, almost 200 degrees. So as soon as it reaches 200, it'll take a second for this to actually start. So we can pretty much see it click off any second now. We'll give it a moment to do what it's doing. So the first thing it'll probably do is home. And here it goes. So as you can see, I'm not running an actual setup for the BL Touch because I've leveled the surface to the actual tip. Right now, for those that don't know what's occurring, it's actually getting the actual flow going on the print head. This is part of Cura. You can actually turn it off if you want. Now it's going to move over and probably print a outline of it that'll help it adhere to the surface. Obviously I have a flexible surface on here, so it makes life a little bit easier. And that's going to print for apparently 16 minutes. But this is obviously going to change as it prints. Yeah, I'm gonna have to research which actual print head is most feasible soon. But real quick, I want to make some mod changes in this actual design that I'm doing, because I've noticed that the actual surface for the ribbon cable doesn't fit. So I'll show you how that looks. So essentially, this is the design I'm working on. Gonna hide the actual code to it. But over in here I have a bunch of formulas used to actually figure it out. So as you can see, there's a lot of translates. These have to do with where things are located. So I'm probably gonna modify this. I noticed that over in here, this is too high, so I'm gonna have to lower it down. And over here, I need to put some kind of oval shape to actually be able to reach your fingernails in there. And then I might have to modify these holes to shift them. But that depends on how I see the print. But let's get back over to this for the moment. I could probably change the camera angle so you can see this better, but it's going to take me like 3 or 4 tries. But essentially it's printing a surface to adhere to. And then it will print your main print. So while that's going on, I'll give you a moment to check that out, and you can comment in the actual stream if you want. But essentially, I'm probably going to end the stream soon. But we'll see how quick the printer gets after the first layer, because there's obviously other settings. As you can see, it's getting slightly faster. Now it's actually doing the cube. So the speed is increasing. The print time now is dramatically higher for time left. So you can see that the estimate and the actual time left have changed. That might be due to the limited nature of the actual board that's inside it. But if I were to swap it with another printer, like the one with the SKR in it, this number would be significantly smaller, and this would be moving significantly faster. But maybe that's a video you guys haven't seen yet. Yeah. Alright, well, I'm probably going to end it now so you guys can catch up on what you want to do with your day. And I can experiment for a while. So everyone that showed up, thanks. If you left a tip or a Patreon or whatever, thank you very much for it. It helps offset the costs of making these. And everyone take care, be safe, and